Boker Tov, we're continuing Masechet Megila. We're at the beginning of the third Perek, which starts off on a different topic, not really connecting to Megillah, but then we get into it later in the Perek. And this has to do with Bet HaKnesset and Dvarim Shebekdusha, holy items. If you sell them, what can you use the money for? So here's the concept of Ma'alin B'Kedusha Ve'enan Moridin, that you have to continuously go higher in holiness and not go down in holiness. So the Mishnah starts, Bnei Ha'ir, the people of the city, Shemachru Rechova Shel Ir. Let's say they sold the city square. So in the times of the Gemara, sometimes the Bet HaKnesset might not have held the people, and sometimes due to, let's say, fast days and the entire city needed to come, etc., they would pray in the city square. So the opinion of the author of the Mishnah, the Tana Kama, is that even the city square develops Kedusha because you used it once in a while for prayer. On this point, on the city square, the Chachamim argue, and the ruling is actually like the Chachamim, that because it's only used once in a while, and in general it's just a city square for other purposes, it does not retain the level of Kedusha, and therefore you could sell it and do whatever you want with it. Okay, that's the first part of the Mishnah. But if a person sells that, lochim bedama bet HaKnesset, then the only next place higher to do with that, the city square, is buying a synagogue. Bet HaKnesset lochim teva. Now, if you buy a synagogue, if you sell a synagogue, now the thing that you did with the money for the city square, all you could do with that is buy a synagogue or higher. And we're going to get to all those higher levels, the highest being buying a Sefer Torah. So if, let's say, you sold it, now let's say you sold a synagogue, what can you do with that money? So the next level up is a teva, where the Torah is being held on. Now it's not just limited to a teva, but it's a teva and higher, as we're going to see. Teva, if you sold the teva is also considered the Aron HaKodesh, or place where Sfarim are held on. Lochin mitpachot. You could, with the teva, if you sell the teva, you sell Aronot that hold Sfarim, then you could buy covers of the Torah, or the sheets that you use to roll the Torah, or things that are more touching. It continuously goes higher, touching the Torah. And if you sell those, mitpachot lochin sfarim, then you could buy sfarim, and not necessarily Sefer Torah, but Sefer Torah, or even other parts of Tanakh, or other sfarim, other holy books. Sfarim, if you sell sfarim, then the only thing you can do with that is buy a Torah, lochim Torah. Then you could buy a Torah with it. But now the Mishnah tells us the opposite also. About im machru Torah, but if you sold a Torah, lo yichu sfarim, don't buy sfarim with that. It's the highest level. And the Gemara talks about, so what do you do? First, there's many halachot, can you sell a Torah? And really, it's limited to, for poor people, limited to helping girls for their wedding costs. I think for let's say someone's in captivity and you have to pay the ransom, that as well. There's a few things that you could use the money of a Sefer Torah for. But we're going to give one big caveat in a few moments. So the Mishnah continues that if you sell the Torah, then you can't buy Sfarim, you can't go down. Sfarim lo yichu mitpachot. If you sell Sfarim, you can't buy mitpachot, but you can buy higher. Mitpachot, the coverings and the cloth around the Torah. Lo yichu teva, don't buy a teva with that. Teva lo yichu bet HaKnesset. When you sell a teva, don't buy bet HaKnesset. Bet HaKnesset is on a lower than the teva, the Aron. Bet HaKnesset lo yichu bet HaRachov. If you sell a bet HaKnesset, you cannot buy a city square with it. And here's keywords, the next thing in the Mishnah. V'chen b'motrehen. So too with the change. So let's say you sell Sfarim, and you had so many Sfarim, you had $50,000 worth of Sfarim, and you bought a Sefer Torah for $30,000. That's a higher level, so you buy a Sefer Torah for $30,000. And now you have 20,000 change. You say, okay, well, I have change, I can do whatever I want with it. No. So too with the change, it also retains that Kedusha, and you can only go to a higher level. The thing is, the Gemara discusses this Mishnah and adds one caveat. And this, the Rabbi Ovadia ben Bartina quotes the Gemara and says, "Im machru shiv'at tovei ha'ir b'ma'amad anshe ha'ir." let's say, and some of these items, including a synagogue, including in the city square, including some of these items, Sefer Torah even, is that it's not sometimes not owned by one person. Rather, the Shivat Tuvei, which basically means the board of governors of that city or of that synagogue, the people that make the decision connect in front of the people of the city, in front of the people of that congregation, if they unanimously make a decision to sell this, says the Gemara, even to buy beer to drink, it's mutar. The Gemara is just giving an example, a far-fetched example, but the understanding is that the people of the city know that it's the tzibur, and they know what's best and what's needed for the city. They know so sometimes if they needed to sell the synagogue, they needed to sell the Sefer Torah, they needed to do it for this community project, or feeding the poor, or buying drinks, or whatever they felt is the proper use for it, then they could even do that, because it's the tzibur that's making the decision over the items. Of course, all these things have very much halachot, and it's not simple to sell a Torah or sell a synagogue, or even the Mishnah later we're going to talk about destroying a synagogue and rebuilding. There's a lot of laws about this. The latter part of the Mishnah. En mochrin et shel rabim layachid mipnei shemoridin oto b'mikdushato divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda adds in another stringency, which the ruling is not like it, is you can't even sell something that belongs, something of holiness in this list, something that belongs to the community, to sell it to one person. So let's say you have a community Torah, it's owned by everyone, and now I want to sell it to one person. He says you can't do that because it was a Rabbim, and now it goes to a Yachid, that lowers its Kedusha as well. But the Tanakama argues on Rabbi Yehuda and says, Amrulo, they told him, Im ken av lo meir gedola leyuktana. If you're saying that, then where does it end? Meaning then you can't sell something from a big city to a small city? Let's say there's a Torah, there's a big city, there's a lot of Torahs, a small city needs a Torah. So they want to sell from a big city to a small city. Are you saying, no, you also can't do it because it used to be in a synagogue that had many people in a big city. Now you're bringing it to a small synagogue. Is that also, you're saying, is that not allowed? And that should be allowed. So the Tanakam argues on Rabbi Yehuda, and the ruling is like him, that there's no difference if it's from a big city or a small city, or from a Rabbim to a Yachid. You can still sell from one to the other. Okay, that's that. Sorry?
You can donate.
You can donate. What do you mean?
From the big synagogue
to the small. You could. You could do that. Yes, you could. You could donate. You could shift from. Let's say I want to take a Torah from a big synagogue to a smaller synagogue. The ruling is that it's okay. Torah is used here. Torah is used there. But we don't look at it like it's diminished because it was always in a bigger place. We don't look at it as Rabbi Yehuda says like that, but the ruling is like the Chachamim that it's not like that. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן עקשיא אמר רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך חיבה אדם תמונתו שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידיר